Epicurus. Mention his name and people imagine toga-clad Greeks gorging on grapes and, well, you get the picture. But there's so much more to this ancient philosopher than just indulgence and revelry. Poor Epicurus, more often a punchline than a philosopher. His profound ideas are often overshadowed by misconceptions. Born in 341 BC, this Athenian thinker dared to challenge conventional wisdom. He lived during a time of great intellectual ferment, contributing his unique perspective to the rich tapestry of Greek philosophy. Forget chasing wealth, power or fame, he argued. These pursuits, he believed, often led to more anxiety and dissatisfaction. True happiness, he claimed, lay in pleasure. But not just any pleasure. He emphasized simple, sustainable pleasures that bring lasting contentment. Sounds scandalous, right? Well, not so fast. Epicurus's philosophy was about finding balance and tranquility, not hedonistic excess. Epicurus wasn't exactly advocating for a non-stop bacchanal. Instead, he promoted thoughtful reflection and meaningful connections with others. His idea of pleasure was far more nuanced, far more thoughtful than history often remembers. It was about savoring the small moments, appreciating the simple joys, and living a life free from unnecessary pain and fear. Here's where the misunderstandings begin. Hedonism derives from the Greek word for pleasure. Naturally, people assumed Epicurus was all about maximizing indulgence. Think Roman emperors, not Athenian philosophers. Epicurus wasn't about fleeting physical pleasures. He wouldn't be caught dead at a Caligula-style feast. His focus? Ataraxia, a state of tranquility, freedom from worry and pain. Pleasure for Epicurus was about the absence of disturbance, a kind of serene mental state. Epicurus advocated for a simple life. No, really, he meant it. He wasn't about to launch a lifestyle brand or anything. For him, simplicity was key to achieving ataraxia. This meant focusing on natural and necessary desires, friendship, contemplation, basic needs. Forget the excesses, the anxieties of wealth and status. This wasn't about deprivation, mind you. It was about recognizing that true pleasure often came from the most unassuming sources. Don't worry, be happy, unless you're Epicurus's critics. As you can imagine, Epicurus wasn't everyone's cup of hemlock. His philosophy, which emphasized the pursuit of happiness and the avoidance of pain, was revolutionary and controversial. His ideas ruffled more than a few togas in his day. Many philosophers of the time were deeply entrenched in traditional beliefs and were not ready to accept such radical thoughts. Critics accused him of promoting atheism and hedonism, which in their defense he kind of was, but not in the way they thought. Epicurus believed in gods, but he argued they were indifferent to human affairs. They saw his emphasis on pleasure as dangerous, a threat to social order. Imagine that. To them, his teachings undermined the moral fabric of society, which was heavily reliant on fear and reverence of the gods, suggesting that happiness didn't depend on blind obedience to authority, the outrage. Sadly, these criticisms stuck. His ideas were often misrepresented and misunderstood. Epicurus's philosophy, so often distilled to its basest misinterpretations, became a byword for mindless indulgence. However, his true teachings were about finding tranquility and freedom from fear through simple pleasures and intellectual pursuits. The legacy of a misunderstood genius, Epicurus's enduring impact. Epicurus, a name often shrouded in misconceptions, has left an indelible mark on philosophy. Despite the centuries of caricature where he was often misrepresented as a mere pleasure seeker, Epicurus's ideas retain a quiet power. His teachings on simple living and the pursuit of happiness through modest means have a timeless appeal. The search for meaning in a chaotic world, a quest that has puzzled humanity for ages, the importance of inner peace. These were central to his philosophy. These are themes that resonate as strongly today as they did in ancient Greece. His thoughts on achieving tranquility through understanding the nature of desires and fears are still relevant. So next time you hear Epicurus's name attached to an overpriced cheese selection, or see it used in a context that seems far removed from his teachings, remember the man behind the myth. He wasn't a hedonist, as many believe. He was a seeker of tranquility, in a world obsessed with everything but. His philosophy was about finding peace and contentment in the simplest of things. In this day and age, where the pace of life is faster and more chaotic than ever, who couldn't use a little bit of that? Epicurus's teachings remind us that true happiness lies not in excess, but in appreciating the small, often overlooked moments of peace and contentment. And once again, we thank you for joining Philosophical Flicks for another episode. And if you don't remember anything else, please remember this. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other. Stay curious, stay philosophical, and don't forget to laugh, even if the joke's on you.